The narrator explains that this case stopped feeling like online chatter the moment real legal pressure became visible. For weeks, people argued on social media, dissecting clips, screenshots, and timelines, but none of that truly mattered until courtrooms entered the picture. The tone shifts here because suddenly this isn't influencers speculating or commenters guessing. It's prosecutors, judges, and sworn testimony. The narrator emphasizes that when a grand jury becomes involved, it means investigators believe there's enough smoke to justify searching for fire. This is where the audience is reminded that David isn't just being talked about online. He has officially been named a person of interest in the death of Celeste Rivas. That label alone changes everything. It means law enforcement sees a potential connection worth pursuing, not just a coincidence. The narrator carefully notes that no charges have been filed yet, but that's exactly why this stage matters. Grand juries exist to quietly build cases before the public ever sees the result. And as the narrator points out, once that process starts, it rarely moves backward. The pressure doesn't explode all at once. It tightens slowly, methodically, until someone cracks. Here, the narrator walks viewers through why Robert Morgan Roth's testimony is such a big deal. It wasn't a casual appearance or a quick clarification. Morgan Roth, David's music executive and tour manager, reportedly spent multiple days sitting in front of a Los Angeles grand jury. According to reports, the questioning wasn't friendly or surface level. Prosecutors weren't just asking what happened, they were testing how consistent his story was, watching his reactions, and pushing on areas that didn't add up. The narrator explains that grand juries don't waste time grilling people unless they believe that person knows something important. Morgan Roth wasn't there as a random witness. He was part of David's inner circle, someone with access, proximity, and influence. The narrator stresses that when prosecutors focus on management rather than just the artist, it often signals that decisions made behind the scenes are under scrutiny. This section makes it clear that investigators aren't only asking what happened to Celeste, they're asking who knew it, when they knew it, and what they chose to do afterward. And that distinction is critical. The narrator slows down to highlight the most uncomfortable moment of the testimony. Over and over, prosecutors reportedly returned to the same question: why were the police never called? A teenager ends up dead. Her body is later connected to a vehicle tied to David, yet no immediate call to authorities was made. Morgan Roth allegedly told the grand jury that he didn't believe it was his responsibility and that his focus at the time was keeping the tour moving. The narrator explains why that answer matters. From a legal perspective, prosecutors aren't just listening to what someone says, they're listening to what they prioritize. Choosing logistics over law enforcement is a decision, and decisions tell stories. Witnesses described the prosecutor becoming increasingly firm, even pushy, which the narrator explains usually means dissatisfaction. This wasn't curiosity anymore, it was pressure. Pressure designed to see whether a story bends or breaks. The narrator reminds viewers that this kind of questioning often signals that prosecutors are lining up timelines and comparing testimony behind the scenes, looking for contradictions that could later become leverage. This is where the narrator explains why things escalated quietly but significantly. While the grand jury was questioning Morgan Roth, another development unfolded that didn't get as much attention, but maybe even more telling. Prosecutors reportedly told a judge they were prepared to request a body attachment for an uncooperative witness in the Celeste Rivas case. The narrator pauses to clarify what that means. It's a legal order allowing law enforcement to take someone into custody and physically bring them to court to testify. That step is not taken lightly.
It only happens when prosecutors believe a witness is deliberately avoiding them and that their testimony is critical. The narrator then drops the detail that raised eyebrows everywhere. That witness is represented by the same attorney as Morgenroth. No accusations are made, but the narrator explains why legal overlaps matter in investigations. Shared representation can indicate shared exposure, shared risk, or shared knowledge. When prosecutors are willing to threaten arrest just to get someone in the room, it suggests they believe that person knows more than they're saying, and that silence is no longer acceptable.
Now, the narrator turns to the moment that reignited public speculation. As legal pressure intensified, reports began circulating online that David's close friend, Asia Collins, may have left the country. Social media activity allegedly placed her in Norway, though there has been no official confirmation from law enforcement. The narrator is careful to frame this as unverified information while explaining why the timing matters. Asia had previously spoken out publicly, distancing herself from Celeste and responding directly to online rumors. That shows awareness, not ignorance of the situation. So when people noticed what appeared to be international travel right as grand jury activity escalated, it triggered concern. The narrator explains that leaving the country doesn't mean wrongdoing, but in high-profile cases, optics matter. Especially when prosecutors are pressing witnesses, threatening body attachments, and sealing records under confidentiality holds. The narrator emphasizes that patterns don't prove guilt, but prosecutors watch them closely. In the final point, the narrator explains why the conversation around this case keeps growing instead of fading. The LAPD has placed the investigation under a confidentiality hold, meaning the public can't access reports or updates. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening, but the narrator